I'm from Nelson, BC, and in the house. So I moved there 10 years ago. I grew up in Alberta, and I went to NAIT, did a computer programming there, and one of the first things I did when I moved to Nelson is I built this little hacker space, and it quickly grew from to 15 to 500 members in a town of 10,000, so 5% of the population coming out. And what I recognized is that my efforts needed to scale if I wanted to be able to reach more members. So I tried to come up with a technology that could be brought into schools that would allow us to be able to vend products, but also then include information that could be used at that point of access. Shortly thereafter, we recognized there was a much bigger opportunity, and thus Smart One Technologies was born. And it really started by taking probably the dumbest piece of hardware on the planet and now giving it a new brainstem. Our technology is called the Brainstem Toolbox, and what it does is allow us to connect the equivalent of a 4-foot iPhone and be able to use that to now capture data, introduce new products, and connect people around the planet. So it's a 4-foot iPhone. You're taking the glass off of a vending machine and you are now connecting it. Now, touchscreen vending machines are not a new idea. Vending machines have had touchscreens for about 7 to 10 years, but the problem being is it was locked down by a couple companies that were pushing these out. So what we've done is democratized access to that technology in the same way that anybody can build a web page, anybody now can utilize our technology to actually introduce automated retail and those types of technologies into their business. We're capturing here a potential of 15 million existing vending machines around the world because we didn't just pick one brand to do this on. We built a technology that lets us leverage everybody's best technology, the hardware. Nothing wrong with a vending machine. They've been doing the same thing for 15 to 30 years. In fact, the technologies under the hood have remained absolutely static, and it's actually the part that's kept them from moving ahead. So one of the things that I really wanted to be able to talk about a little bit tonight, because a lot of the people in the crowd are in the entrepreneur space, and I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, but I didn't recognize it until just a few years ago that I had a lot of those traits. And I think this phrase behind me here, someone who jumps off a cliff and builds a plane on the way down is exactly my style. I'm always about jumping on every soapbox that somebody gives me to stand on and talk about my messages. I like reaching the thousands of people, and now I'm giving audiences in Amsterdam and Vegas and Dallas to a lot of really big companies and potential movers and shakers that I think I can influence just by talking about a much grander future than what a lot of we expect the companies to actually build. We need boots on the ground to actually do that. So I'm going to keep this slide up here for a little bit here because I really think this is what encapsulates my life. Let's start with the why. You're passionate about something, and that something is what should drive you through your life. And if you can find that and you can engage on that level and be able to understand what you can do with that technology or do with your idea, you're off to a great start. And it's not just the what am I making. I'm not just building a touchscreen vending machine, because if I was building that, it was already invented. And snack machines, everybody understands what a vending machine does. There's so much more potential. So that's where we lead into, well, why is Brad doing this? Well, I want to engage people. I want to be able to make the world a better place than where I found it or where I've come into it. And that's my why. I want to engage people. I want to help people. I want to be able to now take things that are problems and offer solutions. So I've been working on telling a better story. I started by building the Tech Club. And then in Trail, BC, you're going to find yourself an MIT-based facility that now has $1 million worth of equipment. Everything from laser scanners to 3D printers and CNC mills that's available to public, commercial, educational entities. And they're using this on a rural scale to be able to compete now with where all the rest of the money is going, usually great big urban centers. But you walk into a small town like Trail, BC that's under 10,000 population, you can walk into that place and use any piece of equipment on any day of the week for $75 a month. That's a $100,000 laser scanner. That's a $50,000 CNC for barely a couple coffees a month. You can get into that. When I started building these facilities, I had to then eat my own dog food. And a good way to be able to extrapolate on that is if you're talking about something people are going to call you on it. If you're not talking up a great game and you're not able to back that up with substantiation that you would eat your own dog food, in fact, if I invented a dog food, probably should be good to me, because you know what? Every time I've ever owned a dog, it really likes what's on my plate. That's probably a pretty good indicator of where to start with on the taste level. But when we started inventing this technology for vending machines, we didn't expect so many opportunities, so many people to be invigorated that this little box could cause so much excitement. As we started to go down this route, we recognized that we're just this little tiny BC rural company, and there's a lot of big dogs out there that want to eat our dog food. They want to steal our ideas. They want to be able to have us ship a product so that they can now reverse engineer it. It's exactly how we built our product. I bought a vending machine, I reverse engineered it 12 ways from Sunday and figured out how it worked, because the industry wouldn't work with me. So I took matters into my own hand, figured out how it worked, created a solution, and figured out how to scale that solution. So now we've met partners that can produce 1,000 screens a day, ship them anywhere in the world, no cost to us. And what's the important part is that they're already distributors in this. They're arcades and amusements and vending machines, but they don't speak a lick of software. They don't understand the technology sell because they sell the video games. They don't build the video games they sell. So being able to find ways that you can protect your idea, but also be able to get it out there is really important. So a lot of trade secret goes into our secret sauce, but also being able to call upon my favorite lawyers in the world. Well, they're making sure that when I walk into that meeting with Intel, or I walk into a really big partner meeting, I'm ready for that conversation. My favorite thing to do on all the trips that I'm taking now is Audible. I have a book every single trip, and it's helping me engage at a new level that I was never prepared for. There's no support system for like this in the rural BC region, and so now I can start to tap into those resources. So this is where it comes to know your network. Who are you surrounding yourself with? So when I was doing this in BC, in Nelson area, I'm surrounding myself with the educators, the governance, so the municipalities. I'm seeing that there's common problems. So every little small town is trying to become a smart city, but they haven't got a clue where to start. They're putting in smart parking meters, they're putting small solutions in that you could search for tourist listings. But beyond that, there's not a lot of infrastructure going on. So it was starting to now find out, where can I leverage that network? How can I connect to the outside world? Because I found out I can bring all those connections home, but it meant I had to travel to find them in the first place. I had to strike up that conversation, have a really good conversation so they want to reach back to me, and now that's happening time and time again. I was the change in my own world. I was really eager to be able to help people adopt technologies, and helping hundreds, if not now thousands of youth adopt things like Arduino, Raspberry Pi, exciting things they're learning in their STEM classes. It all started with the idea of a vending machine that's now growing into a way that I can apply that technology to healthcare, to retail. Everything about the world and you're interacting with it is now a point of access. The same experience that happens on the vending machine can also be sent right to your phone, so you can collect data on multiple scales. So when you're starting to think about your ideas, think about how your network is going to grow, what pieces you need to be able to have in place to be able to create those synapses and join them together. Because if you have an idea, it started with a couple synapses firing, but if it didn't continue to fire and it didn't continue to connect, that thought would never have been formed. We fail fast every single day. We try things, we break things. We did this with the vending machine. We tried 30 different ways to be able to do this. One of the biggest things we did was have a company search for existing IP. And what that found was, well, there was somebody out there already that invented this. And in fact, what happened is our partners introduced us to Intel. Intel had a patent that was exactly what we created. Intel isn't one to take that product to market. They find companies to now take it and leverage that for them. And what we were able to do then is now use their bag of tricks to be able to now grow our company into new exciting areas of technology. And being that fast learner, you need to be the trial by fire. You need to be the one who's actually implementing boots on the ground, because nobody's going to give you a leg up. Everybody's got an opinion, everybody's got an idea where you should go, but if you're not the one driving it, someone else is going to probably, I was going to say shit on your parade, but I'll just, really at the end of the day, it's all about you driving your own bus, being able to take it to the end position that you see as a viable result. And if you're not the one driving it, someone else is probably going to try and steal your thunder. So this is probably the best way that I could sum up where we are today. If Henry Ford had asked their existing customers what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. We're taking something that was perceived as being one of the simplest but locked down technologies, and democratizing it opened up a lot of new opportunities for us. So when you're driving your technology, be aware that there's going to be a lot of people saying, hey, I just want a faster horse. Your idea might not necessarily hit home right away. But if you keep hitting the ground, you're pushing it out there, and you're taking everything that you've culminated into your excitement, your passion, and your direction, you're going to be able to hit places that you didn't know were possible. This is one of the reasons that now I'm traveling about 4 months out of the year, a week at a time, all over, and just talking about my passion projects, because nobody else is going to be able to do it like I can. And if you're an entrepreneur, be your own champion. Be your advocate. Be the one who's willing to stand on that soapbox, put yourself out there, and talk about a much grander vision. I'm not your typical technology guy. I drive a Harley. I cook. I raise 2 little girls, and I do it in a rural area that's connected to fiber internet. And that's the only outlet that I really needed. So at the end of the day, I get to come home into the most beautiful part of the planet. I didn't have to give up what I wanted to do to Toronto and Vancouver. And from the Kootenays, we're going to start building this ecosystem of smart cities that vending machines happen to be one of the connection points, one of many. And our product is not just about hardware, it's about the platform. It's about the idea that there's something much bigger than that chip and chocolate bar machine who just ate your money, and in fact could actually be providing you directions, could be providing you medication, could be checking on you just to make sure you're okay, and maybe you need to call home. These are things that it looks like a phone booth, smells like a phone booth, but ultimately it could be that you're getting a bag of chips out of it and you're getting to book your Uber. So thank you very much.